Good afternoon, class. My name is Diego Bello, and this is my Project 3 presentation on the 5 families. So to give an overview of this project, we had to select different typefaces from the provided family categories and create a poster design on the history of the font we chose and also give examples of how the font looks. And so for mine, I went with my 5 choices are Palantino, Georgia, Dido, Rockwell, and Futura. And so for this first design, it was from the old style serif. So I wanted it to look very retro and old. Therefore, I went with this rustic, muddy tan color, which I felt suited the font. And so for the font, I placed it vertically on the left side just to add some creativity with the layout of how I'm placing these texts. And also I did this pattern where I just removed the fill from every other letter just to create more interesting elements in this poster. And I also included the designer's name at the top so it was easy to read and easy to find, and placed the text in these triangular shapes, which I used by removing the anchors. And I placed them this way just so it was in a less traditional layout format. And so with the space in the middle, I included the numbers in the font just to give the audience an example of how they look, and also the 5 different symbols. I also included the year the font was created, the bottom with only a stroke just to give it more of a simple look and so it doesn't stand out too much. And also I included 2 examples of the alphabet, both in capital and lowercase letters, just so you can get a better understanding of the font design. And for my second was Georgia, which is a transitional font. And for this, I wanted to give it more of a standard design, but also give it some creative elements, which is why I went with this more colorful look, this pink tones all throughout. I placed the font at the top in all capital letters just so it was standing out in bold letters, and then included the designer's name. And then I placed the text in these 2 columns on opposite sides just so it was easier to follow when you read it. I didn't want to get too crazy and abstract with the font, with the text placement. And I also included the alphabet, but in lowercase only, and the symbols in the same font. And then to add some more elements, I just placed 2 of the lowercase g's on opposite sides and reduced the transparency and added a violet fill, and just so it would blend into the background and create more interesting elements. And then I placed the category inside of the G in a curved text, and also the year it was made in at the bottom with the same violet color and a dark stroke, just so it would sort of stand out. And for my third poster, it's Dido, which is under the modern category. And so I wanted my design for this one to be more organized, simple, sleek, which is why I structured it sort of in a simple, minimalistic way. And then I chose blue for this theme just because blue feels very clean. And that's how I felt this font to be. And so I added the font name at the top without any fill, just so it was minimalistic. And then I also did a reflected copy and reduced the transparency so it gave it the shadow effect, which I thought was interesting. And then the designer's name, I placed the text body paragraphs in the same way as the previous one, which is just in columns, just to give it a easier format to read. And then at the top, sort of as a like divider, I included the alphabet example. And then the year I added at the side of the paragraph. And I did some of the grain effect. So it looked somewhat different from the other colors and fonts. And then I also included 3 of the different designs that were provided and the symbols for this. And for my 4th one, it's Rockwell, which is under the slab serif category. And for this one, this font felt very sort of like childish and abstract because it looks somewhat traditional, but it feels very like square and blocky, which kind of felt childish to me. So I went with the screen color because it isn't very common within like these designs. And so then I placed it in a fun way, which is a diagonal line going through the poster. And then I did sort of this gradient effect with the name. And then I added the text in the same way as the first, where I did triangular text boxes and placed them in the corners to take up space. And with the background, I added 2 of the R's for Rockwell, but I reflected them. And then I reduced the transparency so it looks like it's a part of the background. And then I included the year, but without fill, so it wouldn't take too much space or attention from the main element, and also examples of the designs and the alphabet and symbols as well. And for my final design was Futura, which is the sans serif family. And I wanted this one to be as well like simple and minimalistic because this font feels very light and simple. It's very smooth. And so I wanted mine to feel that way too. I made the F different from the rest just so it would stand out more. I like that it had this long tail shape. So I've rested the family category on it. And then I just used a darker shade of the violet to start the F. And then I placed the text in these 2 body paragraphs separated by the year in a vertical line just to add some more elements, and then also place the 5 different examples that were provided, as well as the numbers, symbols, and the alphabet in all capital letters, just so overall this was very like simple and minimalistic design. Thank you for listening to my presentation.